I don't usually post stuff like this, but I can't keep it in anymore. Maybe writing it down will help me figure out if I'm going insane or if something is really, really wrong with the people who live around me. I moved into this house 3 months ago. It's in one of those quiet suburban neighborhoods, the kind with perfect lawns, cookie-cutter houses, and retired couples walking their dogs at sunset. It felt safe, peaceful. That's what I wanted. After a nasty breakup and too many nights in my crappy apartment listening to sirens, I wanted normal. And at first, everything was fine. The house was bigger than I needed, sure, but it was cozy. The neighbors seemed polite. They waved when I first pulled up with the moving truck. A few even smiled. But that's just what people do in the suburbs, right? The first weird thing happened on my second night. I was taking out the trash around 10 p.m. The street was quiet, not a single car driving by. But when I glanced up, I noticed the old couple across the street, Mr. and Mrs. Latham, I think, standing at their window. Just standing. Curtains wide open, lights off, silhouettes framed against the glass. I waved, just to be neighborly. They didn't wave back. They didn't move at all. I shrugged it off. Maybe they were watching TV, maybe they didn't see me. But the next morning when I left for work, they were there again. Same window, same posture, watching. I started to notice it more after that. The guy next door always trimming his hedges, but somehow always turning just as I came out the front door. His eyes would lock on me and follow me all the way to my car. The woman 2 houses down who seemed to always be on her porch, watering plants that weren't even alive. Plastic flowers. Her watering can was empty, but she never stopped, just pouring air over fake leaves while her head tilted slightly in my direction. Every single time I stepped outside, someone was watching. And when I looked back at them, they didn't flinch. No polite smile, no wave, just staring. It got under my skin fast. I closed my blinds, avoided eye contact, tried to ignore it, but one night, around 3 a.m., I woke up thirsty and went downstairs for a glass of water. When I walked past the living room, I froze. There were 4 of them standing in the street. Not talking, not moving, just facing my house. The old couple, the hedge guy, the plant lady, and another figure I couldn't make out. A tall man in a hat, his face hidden in shadow. They weren't moving. They weren't saying anything. Just staring in. At me. I ducked down, heart pounding in my ears. I watched for maybe 2 minutes, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination. But no, they were really there. And then, as if they'd heard my thoughts, they all turned at once, perfectly synchronized, and walked away in different directions. I barely slept after that. I told myself it was a dream, some kind of half-awake hallucination. I had to work the next morning, and I didn't want to start believing my neighbors were stalking me. That's how people go crazy, right? But then, the little things started. A button on my porch that didn't belong to me. A set of old-fashioned keys left on my car hood. A child's marble rolling across my kitchen floor, even though I live alone. And always, always those eyes. Every time I left the house, no matter what hour, at least one neighbor was out there, standing too still, staring too long. I tried talking to one of them once. It was the hedge guy. He was outside when I came back from the store. I forced myself to smile and say, "Hey, how's it going?" He froze mid-trim, slowly raised his head, and smiled. But it wasn't friendly. His lips stretched too wide, his teeth too straight, too perfect. His eyes never blinked.
he didn't say a word, just held that smile until I muttered, "Okay then," and hurried inside. That night, I woke up to a sound. A tap. 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 I thought maybe it was a branch against the window, but when I pulled the blinds, my stomach dropped. There were 3 of them in my yard, right up against the glass. The plant lady, the old couple, and someone I didn't recognize. A tall man in a hat, his face hidden in shadow. They weren't moving. They weren't saying anything. Just staring in. At me. I stumbled back, nearly dropping my phone as I tried to dial 911, but when I looked again, the yard was empty. I didn't sleep after that. And I swear I can hear them even now. When the house is quiet, when I'm alone, I hear it. The creak of footsteps outside, the faint sound of breathing near the walls, the blinds shifting even when the air is still. They're watching me, and I think they're waiting for something.
I didn't sleep after that night. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard them again. The knocks on the window, the dragging shuffle of feet just inside my kitchen. But when I'd get up, heart hammering, nothing was there. Nothing except that creeping silence that made me feel like the walls themselves were listening. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it had been stress, a nightmare spilling into wakefulness. I even Googled sleep hallucinations, tried to tell myself it was all just my brain misfiring. But then, I looked outside. Across the street in the daylight, the neighbors were standing in their yard, not mowing the lawn, not carrying groceries, just standing, perfectly still, like they'd been waiting for me to pull back the curtain. And I swear, they smiled when they saw me. I slammed the curtain shut and forced myself to laugh, pretending I was being paranoid. People are weird. Maybe they're just eccentric. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But when I left for work that day, I noticed something else. All 3 of them, the tall man, the woman with that awful stretched grin, and the kid with eyes too dark, stood by their mailbox. As I pulled my car out, their heads turned in perfect unison, following me all the way down the street. And when I checked my rearview mirror, they were still there, watching. That night, I didn't want to go home. I drove around aimlessly for hours, burning gas I couldn't afford, just circling the city like I was trying to outrun the feeling of being observed. But eventually, I had to go back. When I pulled into my driveway, every single light in the neighbor's house was on. Bright, yellow, blinding. And through every single window, they stood. Perfectly still, facing my house. No curtains, no blinking, just watching. I fumbled with my keys, half dropping them, half praying I wouldn't hear a sound behind me. Somehow I got inside and slammed the door shut. But the silence that followed was worse. I thought maybe I should call the police, but what would I even say? My neighbors won't stop staring at me? That's not illegal. That's not even a crime. Still, I picked up my phone and dialed 911. My thumb hovered over the call button when a knock echoed through the apartment. Not on the door, on the wall. 3 slow, deliberate knocks exactly where my living room wall touched theirs. I froze. My apartment shares one wall with theirs. I knew exactly where they were standing. The knocks came again, louder, this time in rhythm, like a heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. My phone slipped from my hand. I couldn't move, couldn't think.
The only thing that broke the paralysis was the sound of my bathroom faucet turning on by itself. Water, running, slowly. I crept down the hall, barely breathing. The faucet was hissing, steam curling out of the bathroom. I flicked the light switch. Nothing. Power was gone again. I pushed the door open with trembling fingers. The water was still running, but the sink was empty. Instead, I heard something dripping behind the shower curtain. I don't know why. I should have run, but I pulled the curtain back, and there was nothing. Just my reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror, pale, wide-eyed, shaking. But as I stared, my reflection didn't move with me. It smiled. I stumbled back, slamming into the hallway wall, the neighbor's wall, and immediately 3 sharp knocks answered like they were mocking me. That was it. I couldn't stay there anymore. I grabbed my bag, my keys, and bolted. Out the door, into my car, heart hammering so hard I could barely see straight. As I pulled away, I glanced back one last time. They were outside again. All 3 of them, standing in my driveway now. The man, the woman, the kid. Their heads tilted at unnatural angles, necks bent too far. Their mouths open, wider than before, like unhinged snakes. And they were waving. Slow. Perfectly synchronized. Like they knew I wasn't coming back. I drove until dawn. Slept in my car at a gas station, too afraid to close my eyes. And now sitting here writing this, I don't even know if I can go back. Because I keep hearing it. No matter where I stop, no matter how far I drive. The knocking. 3 knocks. And I know it's not coming from the walls anymore.